Over the last few weeks, we've had an international break, and something that's been a common theme that I've noticed across the course of social media and even within my comments section is a raise of expectations on Derby County's season after their performance versus Bristol City. And as much as I agree that performance should now be the baseline and should set the standard going forwards, is the raise in expectation too high? Is it too much? Now, obviously, we've seen over the course of the start of this season, we've had a ton of ups and a ton of downs. The Barrow defeat, the Blackburn defeat, obviously the game against Chesterfield wasn't the most spectacular performance, although we came away with all 3 points. The Watford game, yes, we competed, but was ineffective in possession. Middlesbrough, we spent the best part of 90 minutes defending our own box. And yes, we hit on the counter and scored a brilliant goal through Caden Jackson. But we've got to take all these into account when we're looking forward for the season. Now, we're going to get into that in this video. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County and EFL Championship and League One content, which is going to be heading your way across the course of this season. Now, obviously, there'll be a matchday vlog coming out tomorrow, so make sure you're around for that. But for me, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks, and there's been a lot of people saying that after the performance, we should be comfortable in this division. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that if we play that way consistently, I think we'll have no problems being around mid-table in this division. I think realistically, if we're playing like that against Bristol City, then I think, and we can play like that against anybody, then I think it becomes a question of you'd obviously be much higher up the league. But I don't think one game can determine expectation. I don't think that one performance should change us from wanting and needing survival to thinking, oh, we're going to be comfortable in this division and taking it a little bit for granted. Now, obviously, heading into the game versus Cardiff, they've not won a game yet. They've picked up 1 sole point. They've only scored 1 goal. But that could all change this weekend. They could come in and beat us 3-0. Who knows? Who knows what is going to happen? That is the joys of football. Going into a game, anybody can beat anybody, whether that be in the Premier League, whether it be in the Championship, League One, League Two. Anyone can beat anybody. And this is where sort of my discussion leads round to those expectations, because if we go and lose tomorrow, like the group of people who have been sort of on Warren's back since the day he joined, have been on Warren's back since the start of the season, will be back out again. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't expect more from this team. I think I've been very clear in my opinion based on my expectations of what I want to see from Derby County going forward this season, especially after that Bristol City game. But I think a lot of people not necessarily want Paul Warne to fail, but don't want him in the job anymore. And I think if we were to go and lose tomorrow, what happened at Bristol City then becomes irrelevant. Yes, it's 3 points in the bag, but if you can't back it up and put in another good performance, you're going to have problems throughout this campaign. Now, I've always said that I think Warne deserves until around October, November time. I've always said that, and we see where we are then. Obviously, sitting here right now in the middle of September, heading into game number 5, we're in a really good position, 6 points from 4 games. But where are we going to be after, I think it's the next 6, heading into the next international break? That is a big question for me, because I think in this division, you get the luxury of those international breaks to make up if you do want to change managers. Now, I'm not at all saying within this video that we should be looking to sack Paul Warne, looking for replacements, things like that. That is not what I'm saying. I just personally think we need to ease our expectations a little bit. We need to take a step back, appreciate the Bristol City game for what it was, and it was an excellent performance, and we need to move forward with it. Because in my personal opinion, you can only become a good team, you can only be a stable mid-table team if you are consistent. And then obviously if you want to go further afield and get promoted and stuff like that, which I'm not even thinking about this season, it's not even a question in my mind. Unless we're in March in the playoffs, it's not a question. in my opinion. I personally think you need that consistency for everything in this division. Obviously, the most important thing for us is being defensively solid. If you don't concede, you can't lose. It's as simple as that. And a way to not concede is to have the football, obviously. Now, we've obviously seen over the course of this season so far that having the football isn't necessarily what we're going to do. But we have that pace and power on the counter-attack. In Caden Jackson, in Mendes Lang, we have a brilliant hold-up striker and technically gifted striker in Jerry Yates, who is going to help bring things together when we're sitting deep and we're holding out for whether it be a 0-0 draw, a 1-0 win. We have a player who can do that. Now, I've seen a few times in my comments people being sort of, I don't know if overzealous is the word, about what we should expect going into this weekend. I've spoke to a few people sort of off of socials and things like that who seem to think we're going to walk this game versus Cardiff City. It's going to be an easy win. I personally think at home, I think we could win 3-4-0. I don't necessarily think we're going to. I think it's going to be a difficult, really difficult game. You've got to think they've got expectations on their shoulders. They are a stable, competent Championship side that at the moment have picked up 1 point in 4 games. And it's difficult when you're looking forward to these fixtures with Derby County. You look at, obviously you've got Cardiff, you've got Norwich, you've got Sheffield United all before we start October. And then obviously you've got the likes of Sunderland. I think we play Millwall in October as well and things like that. And it just changes the narrative for me. If we go and pick up a win at the weekend, all of a sudden we're in a really comfortable position where, in my opinion, we need 40 points over the course of the rest of the season, which would be less than a point a game. Whereas if we lose at the weekend, it then becomes a big conversation of Cardiff City have been the worst team in the division, they've struggled to score, and all of a sudden they've beat us. So for me, I think it's important that we stay on a narrow path. We stay grounded, we stay down to earth, and it's one of those for me where, yes, be expectant of performances, but don't expect us to go and trash everybody 3-0 like we did to Bristol City. That was a very, very good performance, probably the best performance we've seen in a long time at Pride Park, especially under Paul Warne's management. And I think what is going to be very important throughout the course of this season is having another 8 more of those performances. 8 more would give us 8 wins. If we have another 8 wins like that, I'm not saying that 8 wins is enough to keep us in the division, but if you think if we go and win 8 more as comfortably as that, and we scrape across the line for a few wins, we scrape across the line for a few draws, I think it puts us in a really, really good position. Now, you can obviously let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'm really intrigued to see what you guys have to say. It's a very interesting period as a Derby County fan because there's going to be lots of highs, there's going to be lots of lows. I'm going to cover it all on this channel, so make sure you've hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Make sure you like this video, and I'll catch you in my next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.